Hello, Internet, and welcome to another exciting edition of the DNA Sports Recap. As a reminder, folks, if you are tuning in live on our live stream, we first of all would like to say welcome. Thank you for joining us. We love having you here. Be sure to jump in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from, what your favorite color is, because AJ wants to know.
Yes.
As long as it's red.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go as long as it's Utah Jazz purple or Utah Utes red. I'll accept either of those answers.
Okay. See, we're expanding. We're growing as individuals here.
We're growing as individuals. Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, folks, if you're watching this on our live stream, please feel free to jump in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. The reason why we do this live stream is to interact with you guys. And again, the whole point of this show, behind this show, is to just feel like you're talking sports with a buddy. That's why we created this show. That's kind of the vibe we wanted it to have. So please feel free to join us. And again, to anybody watching live, we'd love to interact with you. If you're listening to us on the podcast after the fact, please leave us a rate and review. And if you're watching this on YouTube after, we appreciate you as well. Smash that like button for your boy AJ right over there.
Boom, do it.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Let's go ahead and talk some Utah Jazz basketball, shall we?
Let's get into it. Before we get into the content, we like to encourage you to join the conversation in the comments down below. While you're down there, consider subscribing to Utah Jazz DNA. Smash that like button for your boy Darren.
That's right. All right, man. So before we get into this, man, I know last time we spoke about how I mentioned previously that we were not going to look back any longer.
Yeah.
But you
did actually specifically say those words.
Yes, that we were not going to look back on the time that we were tanking and the times we were trying not to win games.
Yeah.
But I saw something that came up previously in like you know what, YouTube scrolling, and you're seeing like old sports highlights, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Something came up and it sparked a thought.
Sparked some interest.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
And what we're gonna do is this is gonna be the official last time we talk about.
Are we gonna give like a final goodbye?
Maybe. I just. There's just one more thing I want to get off my chest about this team, about how this is going on. And again, since it's past us, there's no anger.
No.
There's no anger. There's no
reason to be upset. Yeah.
About how things were going for the team before. Yeah. And obviously, we're not going to do all the hoopla. And there's plenty of Jazz commentators on the internet who lost their ever-loving mind when it found out that we got the number 2 overall pick. I don't know if you saw any of those, but my goodness. Which is fine. We'll cover that kind of stuff. But before we get into all that, I wanted to cover one thing and one thing only about the space that we've gone through over the last couple of years.
Okay.
And I wanted to preface this by saying it's a goodbye to the team that we never got to know.
Yeah.
So one of the best things about watching a bad team, AJ, is you get invested into them.
You really do.
Yeah, so I remember the early Gordon Hayward days, right? Teams with like Earl Watson, Jeremy Evans. Remember the whole early oop?
Oh, yeah.
Throwing those back alley-oops. The Burks we had.
Yeah.
Trey Burke, Alec Burks. Those memories can stick with you and with me. And one of the biggest ones that stuck with me during that team, and I don't know if you remember this guy, but the kid's name was Bryce Cotton.
Oh, yeah.
And there was this one play. Rodney Hood, remember him?
Yeah,
the guy was supposed to be the
Rodney
guy.
Hood was my guy, man. Yeah, he was the franchise cornerstone, man.
He was going to be the franchise cornerstone.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of Duke, I think he was drafted 16 overall.
Yeah, until he was told he has to be the man. Then he's like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah, but he had a couple like game-winning shots.
I was at that game against Dallas.
Yeah,
I was at that game.
Yeah,
that was a crazy, crazy game. Shout out to Corey. Thank you for the tickets. But yeah, so one of my most favorite plays from like a team like that was when Rodney Hood threw an alley-oop dunk to Bryce Cotton. And Bryce, probably like an inch taller than me, right?
Yeah, 6'1",
goes
6'2".
up there and just throws it down over 2 defenders against the Mavericks.
Yeah.
And that is something I will never forget for my entire life. And there are so many of these, right? The sad thing is we will never get to know this team like those teams.
Right.
I mean, to those who watched every single game over the last couple of seasons, you might disagree with me on this one. But when it comes to this, man, it's been the last 3 years, it's just been really tough to watch this team and try to get invested in this because these players were never trying to win. I mean, the players were always trying to win.
Right.
But we knew that they were always going to go out there, perform well for 3 quarters, and then they were going to bench everybody and then try to lose the game. And any players we tried to get invested in, you could probably name 5 players over the last 3 years that you were really keen on that we traded away at the trade deadline because they were helping this team win, and that's not what we wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You could probably name 5 off the top of your head. I know I can.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, and it's really getting to the point where, you couldn't really connect with these teams because you knew they weren't trying to win ball games. And it's sad because it would have been so much fun to watch this team actually try and win. And man, can you think about it? Think about this starting lineup, AJ.
Okay.
You had Keontae George at the 1. You had Bryce Sensabaugh at the 2. Larry Markin at the 3. Right? Put whoever you want at the 4. Right? Over the last 3 years. Not even Triple J because he only showed up at the trade deadline last year.
I'm going to choose Yusuf Nurkic.
Put Yusuf Nurkic. Perfect. And then you have Walker Kessler at the 5.
Yeah.
How fun with, and then you got coming off the bench.
You got Flip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some of the guards we
Kevin
have.
Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love. And then on top, yeah, exactly.
Like, who would have thought Kevin Love would play for the Jazz? I mean,
I would have.
There is
made
a
an
video
episode, yeah.
on the internet about us specifically saying there is no chance in hell Kevin Love's on this roster for the season to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about all the different players that we could have seen coming off the bench for this team.
Yeah.
And how much fun it would have been to watch these players develop that we never got to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what kind of give me like your thoughts on that and kind of give us an example of like your reflection there. Like, is there a team back where you were just like, this team was fun to watch, even though they didn't win a lot of games?
I mean, yeah, this team was fun to watch because it was really cool to see some of the younger players that did get to develop. Like we saw Keontae George kind of take that second year leap, which was really fun because you saw him become a man into the league, right? Isaiah Collier came into the league. He was a late draft. He slid in the draft. And then you saw him come in and get limited minutes. And then they kind of forced him into a role where he was like, okay, we expect Isaiah to be somebody. We need you to be somebody. Like, even if it's just a backup point guard, that might be your job in the NBA. But can you be good enough? Can you be defensively aggressive? Can you pass the ball and, create space? Like, and we've watched him before our eyes over the last couple seasons become the guy where you're like, he's going to be a key bench player on this team. Like that, sure. That's who it's going to be. Obviously we drafted Ace Bailey last year with 5. You watched Ace come in and really just grow throughout the whole season. He wasn't starting. We kind of predicted he would start throughout the season. He didn't start, to come out with the season. But you saw his progression throughout the whole year, just become a guy that you could go to get a bucket. He could make a tough bucket over somebody. He's a serviceable defensive player. He showed that he played with a lot of effort and he wanted to be here. And you're like, okay, I'm on board with Ace. And, Cody Williams, I think they kind of molded him into the player that they wanted him to be. In college, he was like, okay, well, he's a really good offensive weapon. He can score from all 3 levels. And they told Cody, like, hey, you need to be able to defend somebody. You're 6'10", and if you can't defend anybody on the wing, you're useless to us. I'm assuming that's how the conversation goes. Obviously, I wasn't there.
Yeah, well, our insiders say.
But you saw Cody kind of turn into a player that was making a much more defensive effort.
Yeah.
And so this team got so much better. And it was like, I think we have enough pieces that this could be a really good basketball team.
Right. And that's kind of the point where I'm getting at, that we're not going to get to see that.
Yeah.
Because regardless of who we draft,
yeah,
there's going to be redundancies. Right?
Absolutely.
So some of this team is not going to be there next year. But
I think we already saw some of this team. You know what I mean? Like players I was excited for, and I know you were excited for. Walter Clayton Jr.
Absolutely. Gone.
Taylor Hendricks.
Gone.
Kyle Anderson wasn't super exciting about, but like
he was on the team for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. George Niang for a cup of coffee.
Oh, dude, George Niang
didn't even play a game in a Jazz uniform when he returned.
Yeah,
but those were a couple of young guys, right? And Taylor Hendricks and Walter Clayton Jr. that we were excited about when they drafted him.
Yeah,
I know I was excited about Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, these are some guys that could be good pieces, and Taylor was a big piece of that, right? I mean, we drafted him at 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think we drafted him at 10 as well. So he was a guy that you're like, okay, if he could turn into a really good 3-and-D player, this could be the guy. This
He could have been our power forward of the future.
He could be the power forward of the future because he's quick. He's a good defender. So, yeah, I mean, there's some pieces that were in there that you were like, you were invested in Taylor Hendricks. I know I was.
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't you be? This guy could have been a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, he is a basketball player, but
he could have been a good one for the Jazz.
Exactly.
Is my point. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, I think there's a lot of players that we did kind of get invested in over the last couple of years that as you're watching this team not try to win but it was exciting to see growth on this team that wasn't trying to win. And unfortunately, I think some of these players got too good, too fast, where it's like, okay, no, we're at the tail end of the season and we need to bring in some G League players and give them a shot to win an NBA contract somewhere.
Yeah.
Because we can't win more. Like these guys are getting too good.
Right. And it's unfortunate because I really love those years where we're on the border of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. Where, can you imagine if this team was competing for a play-in spot? Like it would just, those kind of investments into this team we never got because we knew if you won too many games, they were going to trade half of it at the deadline.
Yep.
Early on. And then towards the end, again, we're going to sit everybody for injury and then 10 days. So I just really kind of felt like we got robbed of a rebuilding team that we got to enjoy following. And so that's kind of where I want to say it. I'm super excited about the Jazz going forward. I really think with this, with this new pick that we're going to get this summer and then what this team develops in over, early in the fall of next year, this team's going to make a lot of noise in the Western Conference, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to hear from you folks. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below when it comes to that. What are your thoughts regarding this team over the last, 3 years? Who stood out to you as a player that you said, even though, this team was tough to watch at times, who stood out to you the most as a player that you wanted to, really enjoyed following during this time? We want to hear from you. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yes.
All right, man. So we want to go ahead and jump into our next segment. So we talked about, the whole concept of, who we're going to be picking. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So there's been a lot of rumors, right?
Lots of rumors
regarding
as soon as they got the number 2 spot, the rumors began, right?
Yeah, exactly. It just became instantaneous. So now we're not going to go into the whole thing there. We're going to basically kind of break down the trade rumors and get into it pretty quick, and then kind of just put this thing to bed and then move on, because I think next week we're going to talk more about why the Jazz shouldn't even bother trading up, basically, which I think is something we need to put in. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to put that into next week?
I think it might. I think it might roll into this conversation.
Okay, we'll hint at it.
Yeah,
we'll hint at it. Then anyway, so it was reported by CBS Sports that the Wizards were listening to offers for the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft this year. It was also reported on May 14th by Mark Steins that the Utah Jazz have reached out to DC regarding the draft lottery results.
Yep.
So what's the asking price there, right? Basically is what we're trying to find out. And that's kind of what's been floating around most, is that the Jazz are willing to, kind of basically the ones that we've been seeing the most, is the Jazz will be giving up their second overall pick, right?
Yep.
So first round, second overall pick, and then a second pick or a combination of picks or a young player.
Yep.
So the most connected to that has been Ace Bailey as that player. Now we go back to last offseason in the draft, and Ace's management was trying really heavily to tank his draft stock to get him to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's the player they wanted, right? So logic there would give that, hey, you guys want this player, and we will take the second overall pick for Ace Bailey. Anybody who watches the Jazz or even has an inkling into the NBA knows that that's never going to happen.
Not a chance.
It is important to note that the inside scoop on DC is that there's been nobody coming up with anything specifically, but it has been noted that they are looking for what they call a Godfather type offer. So I don't know, man. What's your thoughts on this potential trade, or what would you want to see out of something like this if the Jazz were to move up?
I think that in this position where you are in a really talented draft, right? Where you've got 4 to 5 franchise changing players potentially, right? And this is just early speculation, running through the draft combine. You've got 4 to 5 guys that are really good. I think asking for a pick swap is one thing. A future first round is one thing. I actually think that's acceptable, right? Like you need some compensation to move back in the draft. But when you want to throw in a top 5 pick on top of a pick swap and moving down one spot, the answer is just absolutely no.
Yeah. Not only that, it's one that developed nicely. It's not like this kid's a bust.
Yeah. It's not like he needs any room. Like Ace Bailey could start for the Jazz next year.
Potentially. We'll see.
And I don't think he will, but I'm saying there's a bunch of teams in the NBA that Ace Bailey's a starting level player.
Oh, easily.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately on the Jazz, when they're healthy and they're trying to win games, Ace Bailey's not there.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's just not. He's not better than Larry Markkinen or Triple J or, you know what I mean? Like those two players that are kind of in that realm. You know, you're not going to put him in above Keontae George or like you're not going to try to find a place for him because the Jazz are in a very specific spot where they need a certain type of player.
Right.
In my opinion. And that's just my opinion.
Right. Well, before we move on from that and get into that specific type of player, what would be the trade package that you'd be willing to give to go up to number 1?
It would be to go up to number 1. I would swap picks and offer a future first.
I love it.
That's it. That's as much as I would give to move up to number 1.
I have a few things I'm thinking of.
Okay.
So to go up to number 1, here's a few options.
Okay.
So we do a pick swap, right? Well, they get the number 2.
Yep.
And if they want a future first, we do that, just like you're talking about there.
Yep.
Or 2, and they want a young player. Nice knowing you, Bryce
Sensabaugh. I would even probably be okay with Cody Williams.
Or maybe even Flip. One of those 3.
Yep.
Or maybe even 2
But I don't
out
think
of those
any
3.
of those 3 add enough value.
Yes, but you're just dropping 1 pick.
Yeah.
So you're still getting a number 1 overall pick in any other draft over the last 15 years.
And the thing is with Bryce Sensabaugh, he's still a lottery draft pick, right? No, he's second round.
Yeah, he slid out of that, but you know, technically,
okay.
Yeah.
But you're still getting a nice second round player.
Yeah, but here's my Danny Ainge move.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I am.
DC wants Ace, you give him Ace.
Okay.
But you don't give him the number 2 overall pick. You give them a combination of whatever young players they want. They want Ace, they want Bryce, they want Isaiah. You give them a Flip. You give them any one of those key role players that the Jazz had that started later in the season, right?
Yeah.
And then you back up the truck on every single one of those draft picks we've hoarded over the last that are coming up in the next 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And you dump all of that onto the table.
And you take 1 and 2?
And the Jazz pick 1 and 2.
Ooh.
Tell me that's not a Danny Ainge move right there.
That is a Danny Ainge move for sure. Because we've got so much draft capital.
Yeah.
That does make that is fantastic actually.
Because think about that. They got Trae Young and they got Anthony Davis. They're going to sign one of them to an extension.
Yep.
And then they're going to try and build around them as a player, as a star. Well, the Jazz got a lot of young talent they can trade over.
Yep.
They also have a bunch of draft picks they want to rebuild after that. And honestly, if you look at the only other team that has more draft capital than the Utah Jazz is going to be the OKC Thunder or maybe the Spurs.
Yeah.
But their developable young talent isn't as good as Utah has, right? At least not anybody they're going to be willing to give up.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, if you're talking about a Danny Ainge type move,
that would do it.
That's a Danny Ainge type move.
That would do it. But they would never go for that. To give up a 1
Absolutely
and
not.
2. Yeah.
Absolutely not. But,
yeah.
You know, I'm just saying, if they want Ace Bailey, if that's the asking price, Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
Then
If Ace Bailey's the asking price, we will offer you Bryce Sensabaugh, Cody Williams, Ace Bailey, but we also want our number 2 pick.
Yeah, we're not trading in the number 2 pick. We will trade you 5 other first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
For it. Yeah.
That would be legendary, dude. That would be... I mean, to get Dibanza and Peterson out of the draft.
Right, exactly.
Oh, geez.
I'm just saying, like, you know, hey, Danny, give us a call. We're on call for any
we
advice.
Absolutely are too.
Yeah.
And
But anyway,
you can reach us online at dnasportsrecap@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And again, so that's just something I thought of, and I thought it would be kind of fun to discuss. But in that aspect there, go ahead and tell me what you want to get into on that.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is the Jazz are in a really... I mean, they're in a perfect position at number 2 because the Wizards got the first pick, and who do they deem as the best player in the draft? It's pretty rumored that Darryn Peterson might be the best player in the draft, AJ Dibanza might be the best player in the draft. Who do they think fits their program better? And I think if you just got Trae Young, you don't take another true point guard, right? So they're going to take Dibanza number 1. But if they roll the dice and they take Darryn Peterson, the Jazz win. The Jazz absolutely win. So staying at 2 for the Jazz is the best case scenario. No doubt about it, because you still get Darryn Peterson, even if they take Dibanza. And if they don't, oh no, we end up with AJ Dibanza. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best. 2 is like, pick your poison for the Wizards.
Yeah. And honestly, they're kind of redundant at both spots.
Yeah.
Like if
they absolutely are.
You traded for Trae Young, so you better re-sign him, or else that trade doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And you don't go after AJ if you plan on re-signing. I mean, I guess a lot of people don't think AD is sticking around, but
which is unlikely in Washington.
Likely, it's probably that they're going to go. And what if they shock the world and go with what's his name from North Carolina?
Could be. Maybe they go with Caleb Wilson. Yeah.
Number 1 overall. Man, that'd be weird. But
dude, that would be a dream.
That would be so weird.
But if that's the case, do the Jazz take Dibanza or Peterson?
Yeah, that's a good question. We'll have to find out.
I can tell you who they take.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I know who they take. We're not going to milk this out like some YouTube channels who have to milk a week's worth of content out of the same concept.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, I heard the craziest one, and like, why shouldn't the Jazz consider Acuff at 2? I'm just like, it's just.
That was David Locke too, dude, and it's just so disappointing.
I just feel bad because he's got to do something every day, so he
does. I mean, having it, luckily, it's like a gift and a curse to do it weekly.
Yes,
because it's like we miss a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happens right after we shut filming off, but at the same time, it's like weekly content is much easier to create than daily content.
For sure. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and say that they do best case scenario, right? So let's say that the Jazz do, stay at the number 2.
Yeah.
And let's say that DC makes the right call and drafts AJ Dibanza, and the Utah Jazz are sitting at number 2, and the Jazz, let's say, stay chalk and pick Peterson at number 2.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason why some of the Jazz faithful, and I'm very, very opinion on that point, is some of the Jazz faithful would not be over the moon with this pick, is simply to do with his health concerns.
Yeah.
This this is our first pick where we've ever gotten to move up in the draft.
Yeah.
And shocker, we're probably not going to be in the draft lottery anytime soon after this year.
No.
So it's a very, very important to get this pick right.
Yeah.
So there's some concerns around Peterson, right? And it's to deal with like cramping and his availability due to health. Peterson says his doctors he said that his doctor said is due to excessive creatine supplementation combining with his natural high creatine base levels. But that's not really the full story, is it, AJ?
No. I don't believe so. And full disclosure, we are not medical professionals, okay? We are purely going off of what he has stated and what could possibly be going on here, right? So Darryn Peterson reported multiple times to the media that he had never taken creatine before going to college, right?
Right.
He said that after the season, he took 2 weeks off. They did tests, and it showed that his baseline levels was already high. And so, like, when he's increasing his dose of creatine already, it took the level of creatine in his body to an unsafe level. And he kind of talked about how his legs started cramping, followed by his stomach, his back. Like, he went into pretty much a full body cramp.
Right.
That's concerning for a potential number 2, number 1 pick, right? This is a very talented basketball player.
A 19-year-old kid.
And a 19-year-old kid.
Who's an elite athlete.
A simple Google search, okay, and I tested this because I simply Google searched, and it'll tell you that if you take too much creatine, that you can take too much creatine, right? That is a thing. Like you can take too many creatine scoops. That is real. And by doing so,
one scooper.
Yeah, you can cause severe dehydration, and if you don't significantly increase your water intake, that one of the major side effects of taking too much creatine is cramping. It's due to dehydration. Your body, like taking a lot of creatine, makes it you have to fill that back in, right?
Yeah, when your levels are already high and you're at death week at Kansas.
Right. So some of your other side effects are like stomach discomfort and but that's not But what if it's something more than just taking too much creatine? I mean, that's really my question here, right? Like,
Yeah. I honestly think that's the answer he gave to reporters because that's the best way he can explain what the doctors told to him at the combine.
And what did the doctors tell him exactly? He had increased creatine levels. That's what he told him. Now, let me just go into something here.
And that's what he said that they said.
There is a symptom or a diagnosis called rhabdomyolysis. It is commonly referred to as rhabdo, and Webster specifically defines this as the destruction or degeneration of muscle tissue as from excessive exertion accompanied by the release of breakdown products into the bloodstream. Now, like you just mentioned, in every single college, you go through a hell week.
Right.
Where you are pushed to your physical limits to see if you are ready to be a Division I athlete. And playing at Kansas, that is no joke. They're one of the top colleges in the country, right? Like Kansas has got a reputation to hold. You've got to make sure that even if you're a 5-star prospect from the best high school and the best team, you can play with at a Division I level. Okay. Now, all of these colleges do this. They push their athletes all the way to the limits. This happened to Bronny James.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like this happened when he had his whole medical scare when he went to USC.
Wasn't that a heart thing though?
His was a heart thing, but it was due to the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was hell week. Like it was push these guys to their limits. So this is a disorder that's seen pretty commonly in, and it's pretty commonly experienced with inexperienced marathon runners, right? So it's a breakdown product, and the breakdown products, like when I just said that, release of breakdown products, that is muscle fiber that is breaking down, which can cause severe cramping.
Right.
So how do you think, Darren, that they diagnose rhabdomyolysis?
Oh, gosh. I have no idea how they would diagnose it.
They do it with a blood test, my friend.
Okay, a blood test. Okay. That
So
makes sense.
the blood tests for rhabdo, that's what it's commonly referred to, rhabdo.
Right.
It will show an increase in the marker creatine kinase.
Right, which is probably what he heard.
Creatine kinase.
Exactly. Okay.
That is the marker in your blood that shows you have that you went through rhabdo, right? Like that you had that symptom. And it's typically not a small increase. It's typically elevated to 10 times the normal level if you had rhabdo. So meaning your levels, because they were so high, they're going to stay elevated for a longer period of time rather than just like taking a creatine supplement and stopping it.
Right.
Like your body metabolizes creatine, right? You take it. Yes, it goes into your blood, and taking a creatine supplement will absolutely increase your creatine levels. Mm-hmm. But creatine and creatine kinase are completely separate things.
Right.
So rhabdo recurs in roughly 5% of young athletes, right? So if you've been diagnosed, then you have a 5% chance of it reoccurring. And yeah, that's pretty low. And I'm willing to bet that most young athletes probably don't have a full team of medical staff that's constantly monitoring you and doing everything they can to ensure that you're safe and you're in the best possible position, you're staying hydrated, immediate access to IVs. Like even most colleges are probably not as on top because they're not invested 4 to 5 years and tens of millions of dollars into it.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people who are throwing up that say, if this is it, then, Kansas has a lawsuit coming their way. Allegedly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, again, we're not doctors. We're not legal professionals. We're taking what the studies we've read and everything and kind of providing that out here.
But if there's a chance that Darryn Peterson confused increased levels in creatine kinase with creatine, it seems like that's pretty easy for a 19-year-old who has millions of dollars on the line.
Right.
That's a pretty easy downplay right there. Right.
Right.
And the question is that that's the concern.
Yeah. To me,
right?
That's the real concern.
That's the real concern because this is a top 2 pick that the Jazz can absolutely not miss on. This is their franchise cornerstone of the future, right? Lauri Markkanen's got 3 to 4 years of great basketball. If you can draft a cornerstone now, this guy will be the cornerstone of Utah basketball moving forward.
Yes. Agreed.
You know, and playing next to Ace Bailey and Keontae George and all these guys, right? But so I don't know, man. I think that this is all very convenient, the way that it was worded, the way that it was presented to the media, the way that the media has continued to spin it, saying creatine is the issue and he shouldn't have a big deal. I would hope that the Jazz do their due diligence and request blood tests, and especially at this time, I'm pretty sure I'm sure that's something that he would have to what is the word? He would have to agree
Disclose.
to.
Yeah,
he has to disclose. Yeah. He's got to say, yeah, you can take my blood and do all the further testing and all that kind of things, right? So
yeah, here's my take on that. So let's say it is Robdo, right?
Yeah. Let's
just say, again, not medical professionals. We're just going off to what industry professionals in the medical community have talked about when it comes to these kind of things, right? Let's say it is Robdo. Is that still really a concern? For everything I've read based off of Robdo, it's a manageable condition.
Very manageable. Very manageable. No, I don't think so. Because, again, I don't think that most people that get this have a $20 million staff of medical professionals that are constantly treating them, checking their hydration levels. They're not probably eating as good as NBA athletes do.
Right, staying hydrated.
Like they're in great physical shape. Like this is something that most commonly happens with people that are trying to run marathons, 26 miles, and didn't make it because their body just gave up on them.
Right.
So, no, I mean, I don't think it's a huge concern, but I think the concern would be more that this kid's downplaying what may, and is it a downplay or is it simply a misunderstanding?
I think it's a misunderstanding.
There you go.
I 100% agree. Think that it's just simply him misunderstanding what the doctor said, and he heard creatine, and he knows he was taking creatine and probably taking too much.
Yeah,
that might have been a thing. And even maybe in the Kansas doctor said, "Hey,
yeah,
this is creatine, you know, whatever the other word is, Sinise or whatever it's called." Not a medical professional, and I think he just heard kinase. Yeah. Kinase. Heard it both ways.
Dude, I said that at work today.
Yeah.
And no one got the joke.
Seriously? Tell them to watch the show, man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Losers.
Anyway. But yeah, man, I think that's totally what happened there. And again, to basically just kind of wrap this one up in a bow, if this is the situation that is going to be the biggest concern for Jazz fans, that Peterson's not going to be the player because of his health condition and the health issues, it's simply because it was just misdiagnosed in college. And, you know, I think this is a kind of a nothing burger that the Jazz fans need to worry about when it comes to this kid.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that if you have an opportunity to take Darryn Peterson with the number 2 draft pick, you take him in an instant.
Absolutely. I just, there's not
go
much
watch Darryn Peterson tape. If you're not convinced, go watch him. And don't watch highlights. Watch a Kansas game.
Not even a Kansas game. Go back to his AU high school ball.
Yeah.
Before this was really an issue. Yeah. And then you'll see his explosiveness and what that player is really available. Because that's basically what they're saying is like his explosiveness and his ability to run was kind of downplayed at Kansas. And you know what? If he's dealing with this kind of stuff, that's probably a reason, right? That's not.
And one of the big things is like what the concern is that he has PTSD from getting these full body
cramps. Yeah.
Cramps. Like he's so scared of it happening again that he's got some mental stuff to deal with, right? Like he's terrified. And I get that. Like anybody that's gone through one of these full body cramps is 100% on board. They say the exact same thing. It's terrifying. Like he said in his interviews that he was telling the medical team to call 911 because he didn't know what was happening. But I think if you again have access to NBA resources as far as counseling, as far as a medical professional, and in any way, shape that you might need, this is the kid you have to spend this draft pick on if he's available.
Absolutely. 100% agree. We want to hear from you folks. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. As a reminder, folks, we want to hear from you, so make sure that you are commenting on anything we talked about when it comes to the Utah Jazz today.
Do it.
Primarily in regards to this issue, we got a comment here from Greg Hawkins, channel legend Greg Hawkins. Creatine made me nearly pass out at the gym once, took too much, and didn't hydrate enough. LOL. Now, Greg, knowing you, man, I don't know if that's actually happened or are you just pulling our chain. Which way is that one?
I mean, Greg, I've seen you. Like, I don't believe that you took too much creatine.
Oh, come on now.
You're ripped. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That tracks.
Yeah.
before we wrap up here about the NBA here, one thing we wanted to do is definitely kind of tip our DNA cap to a former Utah Jazz legend in Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell,
he's done the undoable.
He's done what he could not do here in Utah, which is the first time in his 10-year career he has made the conference finals.
Yeah.
So we want to give an attaboy there and our DNA hat tipping to one Donovan Mitchell for making it to the conference finals for the first time in his career. Good job, man.
I think it's really hard not to cheer for Donovan. Like I loved him when he was here. He always had the right attitude. He always worked hard.
Till last year.
But I mean, Donovan's a great basketball player that took this Jazz team to some of the best seasons that we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
So I just wish him the best. I would love to see Cleveland come out and make the conference finals or the NBA finals and have Donovan make an appearance. Whether he wins or loses, he's got to be there. That would be super cool.
Very cool.
So yeah, just wish him success.
Absolutely. And again, in the face of a lot of folks who felt like he wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
Primarily one commentator.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Who sits behind a desk and talks about how it was better back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was basically, I wanted that t-shirt, man. It was the Jazz logo with I across it instead of Jazz. I wanted that shirt, dude. I thought that was so cool. But yeah, we want to hear from you folks. Again, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Before we leave, we want to talk about the insane growth that this channel has seen over the last 2 weeks. We even put out an episode last week, and we saw our sub count on this channel, quadruple?
Pretty close to quadruple.
We were like at 2 something, and now we're at 820.
Yeah.
So that's an insane amount of growth for this channel.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it.
We absolutely love it. We really we appreciate it. Again,
keep watching. More great content coming your way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once this channel is subscribed, we're going to be doing some kind of giveaway. We can't figure out what it is. Maybe tickets, maybe jerseys.
We don't
something.
even know. Yeah. You guys let us know what you want us to give away.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want to hear from you. So again, from our hearts, deeply, really appreciate everybody who's subscribed to the channel lately, and even the OGs from back in the day, originally when we started this channel. Deeply appreciate it. Cannot believe we've seen this much growth over this short a time.
Yeah. Over 800 subs, which is wild.
Which is insane.
When we signed off 2 weeks ago, it was less than 300.
Yeah, exactly. And I got another comment here from friend of the channel, Tammy Price. Congrats, guys. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you very much, Tammy.
Appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and pivot on over and talk a little bit about Major League Baseball.
Let's do it.
But first, before we get into the content, folks, we'd like to encourage you to join the conversation in the comments down below. While you're down there, consider subscribing to Major League DNA and make sure you smash that like button for your boy AJ right over there.
Do it.
Anyway, first of all, folks, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. Again, if you're watching this live on our live stream, jump in the comments, let us know where you're watching. We're going to start the show with this great comment from channel legend Greg Hopkins. Breaking news, Cubs suck again. We're actually going to talk a little bit about the Cubbies this week, so it's going to be fun. Stick around.
Breaking news, though.
Breaking news. Yeah, it's crazy,
man. I like
man.
it when Darryn does it in his reporter voice. It's way better that way.
Yeah. My reporter voice? I have a reporter voice?
You just did it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Don't ask me to repeat it. Never going to happen. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. What's our first subject of the day?
Oh, man. I think the headline that we have on our page here is "Loose Bodies Strike Again." Oh, geez. So I want to know why. Why did your guy Blake Snell? I mean, did he have to join the club, dude? Edwin Diaz, Tarek Skubal, they're great pitchers, right? But they're both suffering from the exact same thing. Loose bodies in the elbow. It was reported over the last couple of days that Blake Snell has the same thing.
Blake Smell. That's a throwback right there.
Yeah.
DNA OGs know what we're talking about there.
Yeah, and he has undergone surgery to repair it with the expectations he will return this season. What are your thoughts, and how does this affect the Dodgers rotation for the coming time?
Yeah. Well, he did go under what's called a Skubal scope is what they're calling this.
I love that.
Have you heard that?
Cool name. No, but that is awesome.
So it's a new minimally invasive procedure where they remove the 3 loose bodies. Apparently they know how many there are in his elbow.
How many loose bodies there are.
Yeah, this procedure takes about a month off of the recovery time.
That's excellent.
which is excellent. Tarek
Yeah.
Skubal,
He's already thrown BP.
exactly, did this exact same procedure, and it causes less tissue damage with faster recovery because it's some type of nano needle procedure.
Dude, I'm willing to bet that thing is probably like I
If
bet
it's
you
nano,
it's
you can't see it, right?
yeah.
So
yeah, I mean a microscopic incision that they go in and like suction cup them out or something.
yeah, it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane. But it is reported that Skubal was actually soft tossing a baseball a week after his surgery.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's already starting to ramp up. So, which is awesome.
And he's only been down what, 3 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean he's close. So that's great news for the Dodgers because they need Blake Snell back.
yes. Well, it's great to hear, that we won't be out without him for the rest of the season. He just came back from shoulder inflammation. I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but did you see him on a live stream when he was live streaming? Because he does that. He live streams and plays video games like 2K and MLB The Show.
Yeah.
And someone commented, it's like, hey, when are you going to get off the IL and start pitching? And he just like smacking his shoulder. He's like, hey, shoulder, stop being inflamed. Like he's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, and I love that, dude. I love when players like clap back and be like, hey, more on that to come later.
Well, I was gonna say that is a great lead-in for the next
Yeah.
story.
But absolutely, man, like this isn't great because he literally just came back on the IL. We need him back because Tyler Glasnow
You know he's a Dodgers player, right?
just went down on the 10-day IL dealing with back issues. And yes, I know.
Does this guy have chronic back issues? I feel like he's always sidelined for back issues.
It's just because it's simply the Dodgers are just a different team to follow, man. And it's really frustrating. I know, boo-hoo, back-to-back World Series champions. No one's going to listen to me whine about my team,
Nope.
right? But it's really, really frustrating when everybody else is playing for a series. Like when we were playing against the Braves, right?
Go Braves.
Like the Braves got up for that series, and the Dodgers act like they really didn't care. They took down Blake Snell, and that was pretty much it after that.
Yeah.
Not Blake Snell. They took down Chris Sale, and then lost the rest of the games.
Correct.
Dodgers lost 4 games in a row, beat Chris Sale, lost 4 games in a row after that.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely insane and frustrating to watch this team because they do this. But that's exactly the point. This team is not built for May and April. They don't really care. What they want is they want these arms in the postseason, being ready in October. So Tyler Glasnow, if you sit on the IL until September and get ramped up for the offseason, great. Blake Snell, same thing. If you are, going to be ready, with a month left of the season to get ramped up, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing right now. So right now the Dodgers are relying on, and this is how interesting the situation is. Because again, the Dodgers went out and signed, like a couple of years ago, they signed over the last like 3 or 4 years, they probably spent almost $1 billion on pitching.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money on pitching. And right now we're relying on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who pitched in the WBC, by the way, after basically pitching the whole World Series by himself.
Basically.
Shohei Ohtani, who's pitching right now for the Dodgers.
He's pretty good at it, though.
Yeah, more to come on that. We'll talk about him next week. In his first full season back healthy as a pitcher, we're relying on him as a pitcher. We also have Roki Sasaki, who, by the way, I would like to comment there that, hey, who said that Roki Sasaki was not going to be a frontline starter for the Dodgers right out of the draft?
I'm pretty sure that was you.
Pretty sure that was me.
Yeah.
And yeah, he struggled, and he had a good outing, last outing, but that was against the Angels.
Yep.
So take that as it is, like a 4-ace team, right? And then so he's shaky at best. So you got Emmett Sheehan, his first year back from TJ. He's basically a 2-pitch pitcher, and his velo drops after the first time through the lineup. So we're relying on that kid, and we're also relying on my favorite pitcher of the Dodgers right now, Justin Robleski, in his second year.
He's been really good, though.
Yeah, and I really love how he dropped the mother effer. No one's talking about you in the World Series against the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
So F you, mother effer. I loved that because the guy threw his hand at the ball. So Robleski's like, fine, I'll hit you in the hand. He throws the next pitch right at his hand. But yeah, so that's who we're relying on for this team to spend over $1 billion on pitching. That's who we're relying on. And we just traded for another pitcher, Eric Lauer. He was from the Blue Jays. He has a very nice 6.9 ERA, but that's actually not nice because it's a bad ERA. And he has a record of 1-5. His ERA last year was 3.18, and he's going to be more of a reliever than a starter. But The Dodgers need to go with a 6-man rotation because we have these Japanese starters. You need to have a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a bullpen game every 6th game because we don't have enough starting arms.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of tough to piece it together. So yeah, this Blake Snell going down for loose bodies, yeah, it affects this team quite a bit.
Yeah. It's kind of wild to think because they're still not in bad shape. I mean, they're still well above 500, still hitting the ball. You still got Shohei every 5th game?
6, yeah.
5th game.
Yeah.
So
yeah, every 5th game. Yeah, you're right. Math, Darren. Jeez.
I mean, you could say every 6, but that would be wrong.
It would be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the Dodgers are, like you said, it must be tough being a Dodgers fan because you have so much talent and so much money spent on this roster. And then just watching them lose series to teams like the Braves that.
Well, the Bays are the second best team in baseball right now. So
the Braves are the best team in baseball.
Second best team in baseball.
No, they're the best team in baseball.
No, they're the second. I could pull it up for you if you like.
No, thanks.
Okay. But yeah,
Braves.
that in that situation, I'm okay with losing to them, losing a series to them. But there's they pushed against the Rockies. There's a whole bunch of series they should lose. And honestly, it's just because this team does not care about right now. They are perfectly okay with getting 87 wins and coasting into a wild card position for the postseason and then letting it rip from there.
Yeah.
And it's just so frustrating as a Dodgers fan to know that this team treats the regular season like spring training. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking about, before we move on from there, let's go ahead and hit some of these comments because some of them are actually quite funny. Right here, Pacific Northwest Ute says more like back-to-back issues. Exactly. Tyler Glass now. And again, that dude did come through the postseason last year. He did.
Yeah.
Had a couple starts and did pitch out of the bullpen when it mattered. So, you love to see it. And again, we got a few things here we want to talk about. First, again, I want to hit this one again. Breaking news. The Cubs suck again. And more importantly, this one, PCA got fined for clapping back. Which actually is going to be our next segment, AJ.
Yes, it sure is.
So for those of you who don't know about this is PCA, Pete Crow-Armstrong, who is the center fielder for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was a really fun series when they were doing the whole crosstown rivalry thing. Where the Dodgers were playing the Angels and the Yankees were playing the Mets. The Cubs were playing the White Sox. It was a fun series to watch, man.
Yeah.
Did you know the White Sox were like one game out of first place? If they won that game, they would have been in first place in their division.
That's craziness.
For a team that's lost 3 years in a row, 100 games. It's absolutely insane. But anyway, so Pete Crow-Armstrong misplayed a deep fly ball where he ran into the wall. And I wouldn't call it a misplay. It wasn't like he had an error on that.
Very tough ball.
It was a very insane play. And if he made that catch, it would have been one of the catches of the year, let's be honest. And this was against the White Sox, and it caused a game-tying double for the White Sox. So as he sat near the fence after the play, a female White Sox fan was heckling him and reportedly yelling, "You suck!" and Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Double thumbs down.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the video's all over the internet.
Yeah.
We can't show it here, but.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then basically he responded with some obscene insults that was caught clearly on the broadcast from the mic out there, as well as on several mobile phones that were recording it right there. The fan later told Chicago Sun-Times that she was actually there at the game for her engagement party and was intentionally heckling him because she was a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know they existed. I just thought they were all there to
No,
see
no,
the Cubs.
they're myths. Yeah.
The next day, Pete Crow-Armstrong publicly apologized, and I don't know if you really call this apology. But
I was going to say.
He regrets his choice of words. He was frustrated and emotional in the moment. He especially bothered that kids and women and in his life would actually see that clip online. It is like Greg Hawkins mentioned. He was fined $5,000 for the exchange.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, what's that going to do?
He probably had that on cash on him.
That probably was what he earned in his first at bat. So.
Yeah.
And then, basically he can't appeal though. So he might appeal it. So he doesn't have to lose like his lunch money. But yeah, this became huge on social media. The audio video was released everywhere. Pete Crow-Armstrong is one of the rising stars of Major League Baseball and basically the face of the Cubs. The interaction happened during the crosstown rivalry, which is always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think finding him is probably taking it a little bit too far. Yes, I understand. PCA is a professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And as fortunate as it is You get talked to like this all the time, though. You know what I mean? And this time,
this by far was not the worst thing ever said to him. I guarantee it.
guaranteed. And realistically, he gets caught with someone that, you get caught with an outfield mic and then another multiple camera shots that just happen to be happening in the outfield. So the whole interaction gets recorded, which was no benefit to him at all. But all you can do in this situation as a professional athlete is try to control yourself. And nothing should happen to you, because this lady is being pretty extreme, and these guys are human.
Is she though? Isn't that just like a common fan heckling, yelling?
But why? Have you ever gone to a game and heckled other players?
Yes.
But to that point,
no.
That's my
definitely
point.
not. Definitely not. And I definitely wasn't celebrating my engagement. Probably had a little bit of liquid courage flowing. So
yeah.
But honestly, dude, like I honestly think this was an overreaction to a team that started performing poorly.
Yeah.
And this was just a young kid who just didn't have control of his emotions. But like you're right, he needed to do better. Honestly, I actually think the fine is perfect, because what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Suspension.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'd rather have him pay, like
a nothing fine.
A nothing fine.
Yeah.
Change that he can find in his cigarette drawer in his car. Like they even have those anymore. But like,
I don't think they do.
But
in his Porsche.
Yeah, exactly. He's just the change he has in his cup holder. I'd rather have that be what happened versus an actual suspension. Because let's face it, the Cubs, they're a great baseball team. They're one of the franchise teams in Major League Baseball. Like when you talk about baseball, they're one of the longest running clubs out there.
Absolutely.
They're one of the teams, that people talk about. So yeah, I think a fine was probably the better option than giving him suspension.
I agree, because you don't want to take him off the field.
No. And then, he actually even chirped back to some fans on the on-deck circle later in the same game. So he just was not in a good mood that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, dude. It's by far not the worst thing he's ever said. And the fact that he decided to say what he said to a lady, is just not great. Not a good look. But yeah, well, chalk it up to being young, and hopefully he'll learn from this and move on.
Absolutely. That's all you can hope for.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of learning from something and moving on, before we get into that, let's go ahead and talk about let's hit a few of these comments from Greg. I love Chicago. It's great, man. Some of the best games are the Cubs and the Cubs and White Sox games. So I think my mouse just died over there.
Oh no.
Yeah. PCA struggles with apologies. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of, again, as a Dodgers fan, I've heard some of the stuff he said about the Dodgers, and, he didn't actually walk any of that back or apologize at all. He basically just doubled down and said, yeah, I still agree. I still think what I think. And then we got a comment here from Tammy Price, fan of the channel. He's a great player, though. Oh, yeah, Tammy said both of those. Yeah, thanks, Tammy.
Yeah.
Appreciate the comments there for sure. But yeah, so speaking of which, let's go ahead and pivot on over to another situation here involving somebody who hopefully learns a lesson. You want to go ahead and break this one down?
Absolutely.
We didn't mention this guy, one of the loose objects of the elbow.
I did. Mr. Edwin Diaz has been repeatedly linked recently through social media posts, promotional material, and news coverage to illegal cockfighting events in Puerto Rico. Now, this is kind of a double-edged sword for this guy, because it kind of mixes felony animal cruelty with a little bit of illegal gambling, and right into a nice little bundle. So the Animal Wellness Action and Center for Humane Economy urged the MLB to investigate Dodgers pitcher Edwin Diaz for illegal cockfighting activity in Puerto Rico, and also encouraged them to take speedy disciplinary action if the activity is proven true. What do you think of this, Darren? And then how does this continue to affect the Dodgers?
Yeah, more pitching issues for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, like, I hate that they call them the Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher. I know he's pitching for the Dodgers this year.
Right.
But it's exactly like Trevor Bauer, man. He pitched, at least Bauer got halfway through his first year before it became Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
Now we're like, 10 games in, and then he goes out for an injury, and now it's Dodgers pitcher Edwin Diaz is connected to this.
Well, when you put Dodgers in the beginning of it, it gets a whole lot more clicks on it.
Yeah, we see that firsthand for sure. Absolutely. So
we can vouch for that.
We absolutely can.
Yeah.
So okay, let's get into it, right? So, Club Galisteco, I can't really say that right. I don't know. Galisteco?
Sounds right.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
De Puerto Rico filed an unsuccessful lawsuit against the federal government in 2019, challenging the cockfighting ban because it is a federal thing, right?
Right.
The case was upheld in lower courts, and the U.S. Supreme Court declined to take on the case back in 2021, allowing the lower court decisions to stand. So now, since then, the Island Department of Sports and Recreation, the DRP, continues to license and regulate dozens of cockfighting, establishing, I think they're called galeras. But anyway, local laws, Puerto Rican lawmakers, legislation, what they're doing is they're continuing to keep the sport alive, arguing that the federal ban overreaches into the states' rights and infringes on the 400-year-old cultural tradition of cockfighting in Puerto Rico. According to USA Today, the federal prosecutors have openly acknowledged that the animal fighting remains a widespread on the island and that the local police and government officials largely refuse to enforce the federal ban, and instead they're permitting local island cockfights to operate with impunity.
Right.
Okay.
So what that means is this is not as illegal as it sounds.
It depends on how you sit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, are you a states' rights guy or are you a federal guy? Right?
Yeah.
Are you pro, like,
now
culture?
But to dive into that a little bit, right? Puerto Rico is technically a U.S. territory.
U.S. territory.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a U.S. territory that has its own governing body, though.
Yes.
So
exactly. So
they decided at a local governing level that it was illegal.
That it was legal.
The states decided it was illegal.
Right.
And then they sent it to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they said, we're not even going to touch this.
The lower courts, federal courts are saying, no, it's a ban. We're not going to accept it. But Puerto Rico, their local government, they say, look, this is part of our heritage. We've been doing it for 400 years.
Yeah. This is who we are. Absolutely.
This is who we are. I've seen a few people who are trying to tie this to the dogfighting issue with Michael Vick.
Not the same thing.
Kind of not the same thing.
No, not kind of, Darren. This is really not the same thing.
Yeah, this is not like killing Fido, right? This is like,
this is really not the same thing.
No. And honestly, it's is it bad in the U.S.? Absolutely. And if he was a U.S.-born player playing in Cleveland and he grew up in Indiana, this would be a completely different story.
And he's going to Puerto Rico to purely bet on cockfights.
Yeah.
It would be much different.
Yeah. This is a completely different scenario, and I think it's not as cut and dry as people want it to think of. And there's a lot of folks out there that are going to be saying like, oh, it's inhumane and it's, a blood sport like this is disgusting. And why we actually do absolutely agree with that here. You really got to have to check it. There are tens of thousands of chickens that get slaughtered every single day. So you can have your dino nuggies.
Do love dino nuggies. I mean, just for the record.
They are debeaked, declawed, and forced to in tiny things and peck at their food to get as fat as possible so they can't even walk. Yeah. Where's your sense there? Like the selective outrage that people have when it comes to this. Yeah, I think it's absolutely disgusting. I don't participate in cockfighting. And do I think it should be allowed? Absolutely not. But do I think it's something that, Major League Baseball needs to take a stand on? Well, guess what? Conveniently enough, they can. It doesn't have to be a federal case. There doesn't have to be anything that happens in courts or in public things for this to actually have an effect on Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball can do to Edwin Diaz what they did to Trevor Bauer, and basically just simply say your actions, whether it happened or not, is detrimental to the game of baseball, and we can make a stance and we can make a thing on this.
And we all know what happened with Trevor Bauer. Right? It's not that this guy's not talented. It's not that he doesn't deserve to be in the league because of what he can do on the baseball field. It's the things that happened off the field that affected him enough that he will never play in the league again.
Yeah, which I hope is not true, but he's getting older and it just kind of seems to be the case.
That's a topic for another day, though.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that here a little bit later for sure. But yeah, man, so we'll have to see. Will baseball take a stand on this one? I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. I think that if they do, I hope they see it from a perspective that is culture and growing up somewhere. Because if you grow up in a situation where it is the everyday norm to go to cockfights, you don't comprehend that that's not right.
Especially when your own state is telling you it's legal.
And you have the police that are supposed to be enforcing these laws.
Right, and they're not.
And they're not.
Yeah. So it's really tough.
It's tough. There's like a weird gray area there where it's like, does he deserve to be reprimanded for something that he grew up watching? He grew up in this community. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, it's really tough, man. It's really tough. Now, how this affects the Dodgers? Well, unfortunately, he's already been out due to injury.
Loose bodies.
Yeah, loose bodies, not eligible to play. And he, since we lost our elite closer that, again, we signed specifically for this reason, it's now become more of a closer by committee for the Dodgers. We will see arms like Tanner Scott, who was supposed to be our lockdown closer that we signed last year.
Yes.
Which he did not have a good year last year, but is having a much better year this year. He's handling a lot of the high leverage situations along with Alex Vesia. And then also we also signed.
Vesia is ridiculous too.
So good, dude.
Oh,
so good. For a guy who
nasty.
can't break 95, he's insane. They signed Jonathan Hernandez, formerly with the Phillies, to fill in for that role as well. And also Will Klein proved himself in the World Series last year. Never pitched more than 10 pitches, 15 pitches in a baseball game. Ended up throwing 35, going 4 innings in that 18-inning slugfest.
Yeah.
And Gerardo Henriquez, he's been pretty good. Kyle Hurt is back from TJ and is healthy this year, so he's seen some time. So hopefully by committee we can fill this in and also we're going to have some other arms come back like Evan Phillips hopefully by the end of the year. So luckily the Dodgers were already planning on him not being around for a while because he's been hurt, so this one really doesn't affect it, but the Dodgers are making moves to basically cover that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and hit some of these comments here because a lot of them are in regards to this. We want to make sure we get to know that. Let's see here. Let's see.
Tammy Price.
Tammy Price. Channel legend. Friend of the channel. That's her nickname, right? Friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel.
It is embarrassing. How do we not know this? Exactly. So that's kind of my point there. I was talking about this when we talked about our pre-show meeting. The Dodgers really need to hire somebody to look into this. This is like... How many times are we going to sign a player?
How did we miss this?
Yeah. How many times are we going to sign a player and then have an issue? We had Julio Arias with his domestic violence issues twice, that we didn't seem to catch on. Trevor Bauer with those issues that he had both on and off the field, that we should have caught.
Yeah.
And then now with Edwin Diaz, man, like who's doing the investigating into these players? I don't know. We got another comment here from McKinley Cutler. Just got here, and I know I'm a little late for this, but we did it. The Jazz got the number 2 pick. Here come Peterson or AJ. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. We're gonna get either one of those.
We're so excited, and we just did a really good comment or a really good whole section on both of those picks. So make sure you rewatch, buddy. It's a really good one.
Absolutely. In any case, Diaz needs to be cock blocked, dude. Pacific Northwest U is just killing it with these. I love it. He must have kids, dude, because these dad jokes are just killing it. Love it.
Killing it.
The Philippines have a thriving cockfighting industry, which shocked me at first when I moved there. Oh, that's right. You did spend some time there.
Wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
And just wondering what your thoughts are on Brendan Sorsberry's gambling situation. I think he's going to be able to play this year for Texas Tech. I'm going to go with no.
I'm going to answer this. Yes, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think that he is in really, really deep trouble.
Yeah.
Which is great for the Utes.
Yeah.
Great for BYU. This is great for the conference because I didn't think Brandon Sorsby was the biggest talent coming to be the number 1 transfer portal quarterback. I wasn't super impressed by Sorsby, but to get yourself into gambling trouble at this point in the season,
what are you doing, man?
Is a big no-no.
Yeah. Getting paid so much money, man. Like, what are you doing?
Getting paid lots and lots of money, especially from Texas Tech. So I don't see him suiting up for Texas Tech. I don't think this will be resolved in that much time.
No. And then, again, combining that with all the gambling issues outside with some others there, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Greg Hawkins, have you ever watched cockfighting, though? It's brutal. They go through hundreds and hundreds of chickens in one city. I have not.
No, I have not. I've seen them prep. I've seen them like what they do to get them angry and stuff like that. And
I'm a little
squirmish
through that. I don't know because I heard it's really bloody and pretty. I don't know if I could do that. But let us know. Maybe it's a super fun sport to watch.
Absolutely.
McKinley. I expect the Jazz to be good next year, but just watch the West semifinals. I don't see them beating OKC or the Spurs for another year or two after some growth. I think that the Jazz could very much surprise us.
Yeah. I think the Jazz are in a unique situation when you're almost 7 foot across 3 positions on your lineup there.
That is
the shortest guy on your team, 6'6".
That is much harder to defend and play than I think any of the teams in OKC has against the Spurs. I think the Jazz have more talent and more positions. They are bigger. Man, it's going to be a good season.
Speaking of which, what is Chet Holmgren doing? Why are you not guarding Wemby?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, you're not 7'6", but guess what? You're 7'1", dude. You're the best position on your team to be guarding him, and you're not.
It's because he's not a great defensive player.
Just, at some point you got to step it up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so back to baseball, man. Appreciate the guys, everybody, for jumping in the comments.
Thank you so much for the comments. We love them. Absolutely.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So just a few things I wanted to hit before we get out of here. We're actually getting through this show much faster than I thought we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk about Greg Hawkins' favorite division, which is the MLB Central, which has been kind of crazy, man.
It's been wild.
So basically just kind of over since we've been talking, right? When we last met about, 2 weeks ago, there was not a single team under 500 in that division.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, still today, not a single team under 500. The Pirates are at exactly 500. So that holds to this time, exactly to this point at this time. And in that stretch, the Cubs went from last place to first, having 2 separate 10-game winning streaks in that time, which is absolutely insane. Last place to first.
Greg, you can just go ahead and type "Go Cubs."
Yeah, right there. That'd be great. Now they're sitting in third place, and the Brewers have just gone on a tear, winning 8 out of their last 10.
Yeah.
And the Cubs have lost 8 out of their last 10. And the Cardinals, who sold off all their talent last year, are now somehow sitting in second place right now in the MLB.
And kind of went on a tear too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because, you wouldn't expect them to be there. They got rid of all their talent, and they're still sitting there.
They're like, we're still going to win.
The Yankees looked unbeatable after they made some roster changes, became the best team in the AL. They have now been slumping and gone 4-6 in their last 10, now becoming in second place in their division and the second best team in the AL behind the Tampa Bay Rays.
Rays, which is crazy.
They are now the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
According to record. So according to record winning percentage, they're technically the best team in Major League Baseball right now, which is really funny because that coincides with the Yankees falling down.
I'm Googling this.
Okay.
Because the Braves just won.
Okay. It could be different, but can I go on?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right. It's funny how his team doesn't play well, and then the one year he just won't shut up about them. It's great. I love it. Be excited about baseball, man. Be excited about your team.
I'm doing my best, buddy.
I absolutely love it.
With the Braves win today, they are the number 1 team in baseball. Just for the record, just to clarify things. At the time of recording.
At the time of recording.
The Braves are 34-16.
Which is the only team at 34.
Correct.
Correct.
The Rays are 33-15.
Very nice. So
yeah.
At the time of recording, folks, because we got to make sure we always honor that, right? So again, with that, I want to get back to the Yankees, right? So they went from first place, having a lot of space in their division, to now being about 3 games below the Rays right now in their division. What's even funner about that is that it coincides with something that happened in the minors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this story.
Yeah.
But it was kind of crazy. So what happens when a pitcher goes to rehab in the minors, AJ? What are you focused on when you're in a minor league start?
You're just out there trying to get some reps. You know what I mean? Throw some balls. Just get back into the groove of throwing baseballs again. And, whatever happens, happens. You're not trying to win.
Yeah, you're just trying to get velocity back up.
Get velo back up.
Command.
Yeah.
Work on that regardless of what happens in the game.
You're ready to go.
You don't really care, right?
No, why would you? Why would you? They're AAA players.
Yeah, in this case, not even AAA. Single A, I believe. But anyway, so Caleb Bonemer is a player for the, I don't even know what this team is, but it's a minor league team. And Garrett Cole was in a rehab start for this, right? So this is the Yankee ace, right? That is rehabbing in the minor leagues. And I believe it's Single A, Double A, somewhere down there. And Caleb hit a no-doubter off of this guy in the first inning on his 5th pitch, right? Might have pimped it a little bit, maybe a bat flip there. Who knows, right? But yeah, and then so he hit a home run off of Garrett Cole, and again, you're just there rehabbing, right? You left a hanger, no big deal, And again, keep it at this point, like the fastest pitch he threw at the time was around 94, 95.
Yeah,
right in this rehab start. That's the fastest he's gone.
which even for single or double A is batting practice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're still playing against great baseball players.
Well, I just think you're throwing 95, at the best, right? And then anyway, so the kid comes up, and obviously Garrett Cole's not too upset about that because he pitches to him again, and he gets a single off him. Okay, fine. So he gets a single off him, and then his next time at the dish, Garrett Cole throws a 97-mile-an-hour heater, the fastest pitch he's thrown since coming back from rehab, directly into this kid's shoulder.
And it's a no-doubter. it's a no-doubter.
There is no confusing this. This was intentional.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. What do you take as far as this is concerned? Like, does a player like Garrett Cole's stature, a Cy Young winner who's just rehabbing the minors, do you think it's kind of petty for him to take it down to that level and being a guy who got 2 knocks off of you?
Is it petty? Yes. But also as a double or triple A player, don't be that guy. You know what I mean? Like I think
don't be the guy who hits a tank off a Cy Young winner.
Don't be the guy that's gloating about it when you do. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. It didn't look like he was gloating much.
You don't got a bat flip, because I think he does bat flip in that first at bat. When he hits the dinger, I think he throws a pretty good.
Yeah.
bat.
What do you want him to do? We want to do just drop the bat and go over there and shake his hand and then walk to first.
Act like you've been there before.
It's the minors, dude. And yeah, everybody's bat flipping in every single home run.
But also, you're not winning a major league contract off hitting a home run off Garrett Cole.
Oh, he might now.
Maybe because he got hit by Garrett Cole.
he got 2 hits off of him before he got beamed.
Yeah, I mean,
might be worth it.
Yeah.
If I'm a Red Sox guy, I'm looking at that guy going like, hey, he got underneath Garrett Cole's skin. I'm going, let's talk to him.
Let's give him a shot.
I don't know, man.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, dude, come on. You're a rehab start and you're throwing 97 miles an hour for the first time. You're geared up and you're rocking back. You're throwing as hard as you can at a kid's shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, what if your command's not there? What if you hit him in the head? Like, this all around, this is a bad look for Garrett Cole, and I just think it's something that's kind of petty. I didn't know he had this in him. I've heard rumors about this with Garrett Cole, that he's kind of and
this is the guy that's like has a lifetime beef with Trevor Bauer, right? Yeah,
exactly. So it kind of makes you wonder, okay, who's really the villain in that story?
Yeah.
Between those two, So I don't know, man. This is not a good look. And yeah, if I'm the Yankees, I don't care. If I'm a Yankees fan, I don't care. But honestly, when it comes to that, dude, that's just not what you want for your frontline ace to be seen having a kind of attitude. This is Framil Valdez type shit.
It really is.
Yeah,
and we just talked about him last week, and he's been in too many conversations for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly.
Don't be that guy, Garrett Cole. You put yourself above that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. You got anything else?
Dude, I just want to know, have you seen Jacob Misarowski?
The Miz, dude. Yeah.
How about that game against the Yankees, dude? 10 straight pitches exceeding 102 miles per hour. Did you see that?
Yeah, and then I think 4 out of the 6 fastest pitches ever thrown were in those 10
in those 10 pitches.
Yeah.
Wild. He had multiple 103.6 per mile hour fastballs.
That is insane, dude.
And the all-time fastball record, do you know who holds the all-time fastball record?
No.
Aroldis Chapman in 2010. Threw 105.8.
Oh, the fastest ball. Yeah, I knew that.
Oh, you knew that. Okay.
I knew the fastest throw, but like the record of how many consecutive fastballs thrown over 100 miles.
Yeah.
Obviously him. Miz, right? Yeah, so.
But yeah, Miz has the most, and he has the most consecutive over 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like, of all the fastest pitches ever thrown in Major League Baseball, he owns like 10 of the top 25.
Yeah, this kid's insane, dude.
Insane. I just thought it was really cool because he's young, right? I think he's 22.
He was a rookie last year. I think he was a rookie call-up last year.
Yeah, and just out there just throwing heat. I just thought it was a really cool story that he's just – and throwing it consistently. His slider looks really good and, like, fooling people with off-speed pitches, But, I mean, it's really tough. You get up there at 103. I mean, we did a really cool video, I don't know, probably a year or so ago where we talked about, like, the reaction time needed to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
0.4 of a second. At 102, it's decreasing significantly. Like you're in the 3.5 tenths of a second to respond to that. And then they hit you with a 95-mile-an-hour changeup.
Yeah.
It's like, that's unhittable, dude.
Oh yeah. The kid's insane.
Yeah.
And worth everybody who barked at him for getting a chance to pitch in the All-Star game last year after 20 other pitchers said no.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Look at what this kid's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just doing some great stuff.
Yeah, probably a big part of the reason why the Brewers are in first place in the Central.
Really cool to see. I thought it was a cool story.
Absolutely. Great story. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, we want to hear from you. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below as far as anything what we talked about for Major League Baseball. All the folks that have actually been recently subscribing to this channel, we've actually seen percentage-wise, this channel's over doubled its subscribers over the last 2 weeks.
Yes, it has.
It's really exciting to see how much you folks are liking the content and subscribing to Major League DNA. Keep it going, guys. We love it. Jump in the comments. Let us know your take on things because, again, that's why we're doing this. So we want to hear from you. Let us know what your thoughts are on what we talked about. And, subscribe to the channel, man. Join us. This has been great. We love it.
Yep, absolutely. And if you guys are watching on YouTube on one of our short videos, just know this whole thing's available as a podcast wherever you get your audio.
Again, also, thanks to the love on the podcast side. We've watched the amount of listens and downloads on that almost triple too over the last couple of weeks. So absolutely love it, man. Appreciate the engagement. More to come on that. Again, a great way to support the show is check out our merch link, check out a shirt or a hat. And we want to, love the engagement. Keep it coming, guys. Absolutely love it. Appreciate it.
Please do it.
With all that said, my name is Darren. That is AJ. And this has been an episode of the DNA Sports Recap.
Till next time.